Are you gonna go to the monster makeover?
I'm like,
What do you do? What do you like? How do you get made over?
I feel like you walk in and like Eddie is standing on the other side and he just cuts your face and then now you're a monster because Eddie just cut your face.
Do you have like, can you be Jack? I feel like you kind of have to be Jack, right? Like that should be like an option for you.
I feel like that would be a really cool option. Like if they can make you into the icons, or if they could also make you into just the monsters in general. Like I hope this isn't just a oh here's some face paint and there
Mm.
you go. I hope this is like a bibbity bobbity boo, but like
Maybe
an actual boo. Like how everyone talks about
ah,
whatever it is.
like like All Hallows Eve boutique, like a bibbity bobbity
Yeah, exactly,
boutique.
exactly. But we're just slisher
So,
slasher boutique.
so are you selling like can I get the Jack costume? And can you wear it in the park? Now that's a key question.
I feel like that's where like they have to draw a thin line because Universal has like a strict policy against costumes, right?
Yeah.
Well, slightly, because I feel like it's gotten way looser lately. But like, I don't know if they'll sell the costumes in park, but maybe they'll just I don't know.
What's the robe then? Because that's not a costume. What is
No,
it?
it's not.
I feel
Can
like
I
you
walk
can,
around with a robe?
it can
Universal?
kind of be a costume. Like you do because if you do the full robe, shirt, tie combo, which they sell, I mean they don't sell the shirts, but they sell all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one like weekend where they had the Voldemort guy who had the mask on and like the like
It was super random. And well, it wasn't even like a Universal employee. It was just a random dude dressed as Voldemort, a random person dressed as Voldemort. And it's like, how did they get into the park with
how do
that?
you you're not applying that in the Wizarding World bathrooms. Like you're not applying all that.
Yeah, no, you're not putting on all those layers of like latex. You're not.
Maybe that was like the prototype for that. They're like they saw that and they're like, hold on now. There's money
What if we did?
on the table.
What if we just slightly did this?
Yeah. Do you know how many Universal adults you would collect? Like, because the only like that's my one thing with this. I'm like, who is this for? Because the horror makeup show is not an attraction like visited solely by kids. It's usually their parents drag them to it. The kids are uncomfortable. They
They're
get
usually
accused
crying
for throwing cigarettes. Yeah,
and
throwing
drinking
cigarettes
beer.
at the stage, drinking beer in the morning. Like they get accused of all these things. You could tell like they're like nervously laughing. So I don't know if a kid like that would want to say, "Okay, mom, I want to go now." Go right back in. I'm guessing that's like back into the theater, right? Like the backstage of the theater, or no? Or
That's
is
what
it
it
like its
looks
own
like.
building?
I don't know because usually that is well, that was like storage for like not props for
Or
merchandise
like
because
merch?
the
Yeah.
the checkout counter was right there. And I know they have the other side that's also storage. So they probably moved all the storage over there, gutted that whole area, and then made it what it is now. Because that doesn't connect to the horror makeup show. Because there's the wall there, and then the huge opening, and
Mhm.
then backstage area. So
Yeah.
it's just that section there, like where they had the merchandise. So I don't know. It's odd. It's intriguing though. I'm very intrigued. Maybe I'll go be a monster.
Maybe you'll
Maybe I
go be a
won't.
monster.
Maybe they'll turn me into Beetlejuice,
Beetlejuice has to be an option,
right?
but then Beetlejuice would start accusing people of impersonating him though on the street.
But that's all his character.
Yeah, that's like that's pretty much like that's a TikTok waiting to happen.
Exactly. It's
Beetlejuice.
I feel like the whole area is going to be a TikTok week, but it's a nice little change because I feel like the horror makeup show we've talked about it multiple times off camera is the same thing, and it has been the same thing for at least like 10, not 10 years, less than 10. Mummy came out in what 2016,
2017. So
2017. Horror makeup
so like
was
7 years.
preparing in 2016, so about yeah, close to 10 years, not 10 years exactly, but it's become not stale but repetitive to this point to a lot of people. And adding this little detail can maybe lead to a potential shift in gears when it comes to the show.
Mhm.
Maybe.
I think like the whole Hollywood area, I think the Hollywood area was one of those things because like New York has like the Mummy and to a lesser extent Jimmy Fallon, right? Like it's got some big, like at least the Mummies. Like yeah, Jimmy Fallon, the star of the show over in New York, with the Mummy just kind of as the like C ticket that's there. No, like you have these big attractions, and then you also have like when the tribute store is there, the tribute store. You have a lot of like food booths, Finnegan's and stuff. Like you have a lot of like pretty big items over in New York. So New York just got like a lot of that new entertainment, right? Blues Brothers has always been there, but like they had Sing It up until recently. Vamos is there, and the Maryland is up there now, right? So
Hmm.
it's like that's like kind of entertainment. They got attractions, they got food, they're set. Obviously, Harry Potter and all that stuff. That stuff's kind of writes itself. But like Hollywood was an area like I feel like Hollywood, and I love it for this reason. But I feel like Hollywood's been like kind of like a ghost town, like kind of a little bit empty as such. So hopefully like I mean other than like the characters. So I guess hopefully they're trying to like bring people with like all the recent entertainment that's I guess no longer there anymore. The idea of like bringing people to Hollywood so they actually go get a milkshake at Schwab's. Get one of the specialty milkshakes they always have that.
I would love for them to. This isn't in the books at all, but to kind of not retheme Schwab's, but give us some kind of like specialty drinks and tie into like for
Mm.
makeup or Born or things in Hollywood that'll kind of like tie everything together. If we get these like random seasonal promotions, like we always do for like Puss in Boots, Trolls, why not do it also for the park itself so that there's this want to go there again? We have Butterbeer over in Potter. We
Mm.
have Duff Beer over in Springfield. Why not have something in Hollywood to call people over there? Like, I feel that would just be a nice little touch.
Yeah, and I mean I feel like you could also because the tribute store is there, so I feel like you could maybe tie that in. Like I know like the Jurassic Park tribute store being right there back last summer would have made for some like crazy dinosaur milkshake. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Totally
there's
dino
just money
milk.
on the table.
Yeah, and they're just not using it. They need to. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot that they could do there. They haven't. But it's exciting. It's exciting to see what the future of Hollywood holds at Universal.
Yeah. And I guess as far as the future goes, segue 2024 just started. And if you're watching this, you probably are like, what is this? This is a new thing. Hello, I guess I don't know how to start these things. Welcome to the Barrel House Boys podcast, the first episode of the Barrel House Boys podcast. My name is Aidan. You might know me as Dreamport Productions on YouTube.
I'm Adrian. You might know me as Losh TV. And we're here to just give you guys a whole lot of fun. Well, that's just a super small synopsis of it, but we are giving you theme park information, on information, and whatever's in between there. Usually for the state of Florida, maybe sometimes out of Florida, but 9 times out of 10, we're going to be talking about the Florida parks.
Yeah, and I figured this first episode could be. Well, I didn't figure. I mean, this is a joint effort. But this first episode can be. Yeah, I'm the mastermind. I just dragged him along here. No, but the first episode can kind of be this sort of introductions to us. If you're not familiar with us and our channels, everything is going to be down in the description if you're watching this on YouTube and our social medias. Everything's going to get plugged around here. Just Barrel House Boys on everything, right? Twitter,
Everything.
our X, Instagram, YouTube. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with us, what we enjoy, obviously we're talking about theme park stuff, and a lot of like I said, theme parks and haunts, both, but try to do like a mix of both.
So we're going to start
Mm.
with something that we know for sure is coming, and that's I almost said Dreamport. DreamWorks
Now
Land.
I get
Ah,
my own land at the park. That's crazy.
own land. No, but DreamWorks Land is going to be something that's very exciting. It's the brand new Kid Zone. We have a bunch of these DreamWorks characters that are going to be here, and it's going to add a new like touch. Now, of course, when Kid Zone closed, I was upset. I was really sad, but nonetheless, excited to see what happens. What do you think?
I feel like I wasn't like KidZone, obviously, other than ET, which is a national treasure. KidZone, I didn't really have a super huge attachment to it. Like I remember going it like ish. I remember seeing like the Barney show and seeing the playgrounds and Woody Woodpeckers, even though I didn't grow up with roller coasters. I guess it's something to know about me. I don't really like roller coasters a whole lot. Like I have a limit with roller coasters. I like some. I don't love every roller coaster, and I didn't get into roller coasters until I was a teenager. So I was like, I didn't really ride roller coasters a lot as a kid. That being said, Woody Woodpeckers didn't appeal to me. Barney didn't appeal to me. ET, however, now that's where we're talking. ET is a great classic attraction, but ET's staying. ET's not going anywhere with DreamWorks, so that's fine. We can leave ET alone. But DreamWorks, I mean, I'm just hyped to see what they really do with the properties. Obviously, I grew up in the early 2000s, early mid 2000s, so Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, movies that I know a lot, know really well. Shrek we had in the park up until a couple years ago when they got rid of it for Minions, but it'd be great to see Shrek come back. Looks like we're going to be getting the Shrek meet and greet, and Donkey, of course. You know, we love Donkey, one of the best meet and greets at the park. And just pretty much like repainting everything, reskinning it, keeping kind of the fundamentals of what's there, which I think is important. I think it's important to have those sort of smaller attractions for smaller kids that maybe not tall enough to ride some of the bigger rides, or that don't like the bigger rides, because there's a lot of like playground and play areas kids can kind of just run around and get crazy. So I think that could be good, but I also think there's like a lot of potential for like I like saying themed meet and greets, themed food. We were kind of talking about themed food earlier with Schwab's. Hopefully, we get some themed food for DreamWorks. I would love some Mr. Ping's noodles. Just saying, guys. But yeah, stuff like that is just lots of potential here. And we're recording this in January. The construction is fairly far along. Like it's happening.
There's so much going on. And before I forget, because my brain does this thing where I'll forget things, I'm going to bounce away, well, bounce forward to your talking about themed food. Give me Donkey's Waffle. Give me a Donkey's
Ooh.
Waffle stand somewhere, anywhere. Or just give us, like, remember the bubble waffles that they had at Mardi Gras?
Hmm.
Have that, but for Donkey. It'll be
Give
nice.
me
And then, but
No, yeah. No, I'm just thinking I'm trying to process what you said because that's a very loaded. It's a very
or like
loaded.
either the bubble waffles or just regular waffles. Something. Donkey loves his
Chicken and
waffles.
waffles.
I love waffles. Chicken and waffles could go down.
There you go. There
But
you go.
you forgot a property when you were talking there about DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Trolls. Can't forget the little
Trolls.
guy. The little guy has like the mightiest punch right now. Trolls, I think,
Yeah,
was
that's
like
true.
super popular when it came out, and it still is super popular. I think the last movie did fantastic in the box office, and we have supposedly the Troller Coaster. We can tell from
Hmm.
the concept art, even though the colors are now different from the concept art and the actual train. But I'm sad. You said Woody Woodpecker wasn't something you grew up on. It also wasn't something I grew up on. However, the attraction itself was one of my first ever roller coasters. So when it
Hmm.
closed, I was there closing day. I was sad. I cried a little, but I was excited for the future. And I'm happy to know that the coaster itself isn't going anywhere and that it's just getting repainted. So maybe someday when I have kids, I can take my kid here and be like, hey, this was one of my first roller coasters. It's going to be yours too. It's like a nice little thing. And it's the same exact location of which I grew up in. So it's
Yeah.
nice. And then for Barney, I literally grew up on Barney. Like I
Hmm.
watched Barney VHS tapes. I have some Barney VHS tapes somewhere. I'm not gonna look for it now, but I have the pink VHS tapes at the house. And that when it closed, it was before KidZone closed completely. It hurt so much because that's my guy. That's my big purple imaginary dinosaur. Everyone has Figment.
Right.
I have Barney. But I'm excited to see what happens because, like you, I grew up in the early 2000s as well. So Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, all of these are new, and it's exciting for all these younger kids and this new generation of kids that are going to be able to experience KidZone in a brand new light. So I'm excited to see
Hmm.
how this like correlates to like the next generation of kids, not so much us, you know.
Yeah, and I think like there's another aspect of it too that I think is something interesting to know. It's like because for me, I was honestly thinking when they announced Minion Land last year, the end of 2022, I was like, okay, well, I mean, I like the Minions enough. I'm not a Minion hater, but this isn't for me. This is for kids. But surprisingly, the Minion Land has a lot of great offerings for adults too. Like it's like kids, yeah, kids can get into it, meet and greets, the food, the new attraction, VillainCon. But like I really like VillainCon. I love Minions Cafe. The meet and greet, the Illumination Theater is a lot of fun. So I'm hoping that with this, they kind of do the same thing they did with Minions, where they took an area that for a long time was just kind of, we have all these different themes, all these different properties all together. At one point, it's Shrek. Then it's just become me, Alfred Hitchcock, and I love Lucy a long, long time ago. But taking all these kind of random properties and unifying it one theme, I'm hoping DreamWorks Land does kind of what that did back there, because KidZone has been, and I might step on some toes with this. KidZone has been kind of it's been a shell of its former self for really the better part of it, like a decade. It's like it's just it needed to go. It needed something new. I mean, we might have some kids on super fans out there, so sorry about that. But yeah, I'm just out here offending already. But yeah, let's move on. Unless you have anything else to say about DreamWorks.
I just want to say thank you, DreamWorks, for all the memories.
Mm,
DreamWorks Destinations for all the memories.
DreamWorks Destination. That's my one thing. Before we pivot, I don't know. They just called it DreamWorks Land, but I feel like they DreamWorks Destination was such a great name.
They were like, we
Like
used it
that would have been,
already. We're not gonna do it again. Welcome to DreamWorks. They could
yeah.
have just
I'm
called it
like,
like anything else.
you already had the signage. You could have just reused the signage.
Literally,
Anyway,
literally.
that is a tangent.
But speaking of things that are very questionable that might occur, we have a brand new theme park being built not too far off from the Universal Orlando Resort, and that is Epic Universe, which is opening in 2025. I believe it's summer 2025. I'm not sure if that's when they said. Is it summer?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
by they said by summer 2025, so it's pretty vague. But I'm guessing in that summer, maybe like April, May, June timeframe.
June 7th, 2025.
35 years. Yeah, 35 years after the OG. So,
I mean, it
I
kind of just
mean,
makes sense, right? It kind of writes itself. It's like, hey, this park was the original. Now, welcome to the brand new park that is going to be monumental in the next step for Universal's legacy.
as George Lucas said, it's like poetry, it rhymes. And I think like if you were to do that with Universal, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, we started talking about dates. Epic Universe is a it's moving along
Yeah.
like that.
And it's weird though. We only know one thing about the park, technically.
Mhm.
We only know about Super Nintendo World. That's the only thing that's been officially announced. Now, just looking at some of the park lands, we can see that like some of the things are what they might be, and it's kind of very exciting to some of us that we might be seeing a little monster bit somewhere here.
Mhm.
But there's little things that we wish we would know, and hopefully very soon we shall know what it is.
I I hope that, because I think it's to the point now where, and Universal loves doing this thing where when it's unavoidable, they'll tell us. So like with VillainCon, when like the day before they put the sign up, they were like, "Hey guys, here's the name of the ride. Okay, now we can put the sign up." So with Epic Universe, we're starting to see set pieces that are kind of telling us, you know, I mean, there may or may not be an Elder Wand scene in one of the lands, or some dragons in another area. That's like, okay, at this point we're getting close to where people are gonna, I mean, let's be honest, Epic Universe, for the little indie hit that it is, kind of a park that no one's ever talked about. It is it's something everybody already kind of knows, or at least it's like something that, if everything goes to plan, it'll be the worst kept secret ever. Like it's one of those things where a lot of people already kind of have an idea of what's going to come. So it we're hoping. I mean, I'm guessing we're going to get. I mean, we did get recently the sort of announcement of the hotels. Okay, Terra Luna, Stella Nova. Did I get that right? I think I
Bingo.
got that right. The two sort of. I don't know if they're like Prime value or what. They're not like super
They're not that
deluxe if we're
expensive.
using Disney terms.
The they were like kind of put them as in the same light as a Cabana Bay. That's my
Yeah, so
opinion.
like a Prime
It's either
value.
Cabana Bay and Aventura.
Yeah, so like a Prime value. So those two hotels are already booking. If you go on the website right now, you can book for, I believe it's January, end of January, February 2025. You can already book a room there. So it's like we're starting to get some announcements, maybe a preview center potentially at some point soon, which
They
I,
just
I'm
look our
all
logo.
for. I'm all for stuff like that. Please, let's get some Universal, let's get some Epic Universe merch. Let's get some looks,
Even just
some concept art.
I have an Islands of Adventure shirt that I have from the '90s, like when the park opened, and it's just the Islands of Adventure logo with the word Orlando. If you give me an Epic Universe shirt with just the
Yeah.
word Orlando, I'm buying it. I'm buying them by the handfuls. I'm buying that shirt. It just makes sense. Just sell something with the logo on it. People are gonna buy it. Give us a hat. Give us
Hmm.
socks. We'll buy it. I won't buy it, but
I think,
give us socks.
yeah,
Someone's gonna
like
buy it.
any kind of merch with Epic Universe, just because it is such like a new thing. It's exciting. Obviously, seeing obviously Nintendo merch because Hollywood already has Nintendo and a lot of the merch. So I'm guessing a lot of it will be the same. So it's fine. Just bring it over here for the East Coasters that haven't gone out to Hollywood and don't get to get to check it out. Like it's I think it's just a generally a strong idea, and I think it's something that they're gonna want a rollout. They're gonna want this to be planned and prepped because people are also like a lot of people, again, a lot of people have been talking about Epic Universe. A lot of people have been talking about how cool it's going to be. And a lot of people, not just from Florida, are going to want to come to Florida to see Epic Universe, especially when it opens. So you want to get the hype rolling, let people start booking, let people start getting excited, and make it a little easier for people like us who are talking about this stuff to
To
have a
talk
little
about it.
more frame reference. I've been using that same piece of concept art. I mean, 4 or 5 years we've been looking at that same single piece of concept art.
We've been narrowing down every little detail in there. We
Yeah.
need something new. But you got to think about it. Like just looking on the construction itself, that stage show that was in that back left corner isn't being built anymore. It's now a roller
Hmm.
coaster, and it's like those little things that are completely different now in the concept art. That like hopefully we get to see something brand new soon that we can truly experience all of this.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pivot. This isn't on our show notes or anything, but I'm gonna pivot because you talked about changes in concept art. So just the gist, because I feel like we have a lot to talk about, and I don't want to get into this because this is not really Florida stuff. But for those who don't know, Universal is also building a smaller kids theme park and resort in Texas. They're building a permanent HHN year-round haunt, which we love HHN here, so you're probably going to be hearing a lot about that. Yeah, maybe, yeah, maybe we just a little bit. But so we're going to be talking about that stuff more, but going back to the kids park, we have more pieces of concept art for that than Epic Universe, which is funny. But for one, like there are a lot of changes from that first piece to the second piece, so it's cool kind of seeing the changes happen in real time, what's getting added, what's getting subtracted, how the layout is changing. And Epic Universe, I mean, they're pretty well underway building it, so we're not going to see a whole lot of like huge changes, I don't think, but future expansions, things that were just greenery, that may be new attractions, new lands, but that's way past 2024. 2024, right here, Epic Universe, just seeing and hearing more about it. Hopefully, we get some names, some lands, some attractions,
Some attraction
something,
names.
yeah, more concept art, please.
I want to see a better image at the gate. I think that's the one thing I want to see. I don't know why, but that's just something that I really am intrigued in.
Well,
Maybe instead of like so much the concept art from above, maybe they give us looks at like the lands from below, kind of looking like straight on what it would look like if we were standing in front of the gate, looking at the gate, or if we were standing in front of the portals, looking at the portal.
I think that for because looking at the hub, the main hub of the park, because this park is going to be different than all the other Universal parks in that they're going to use that sort of hub and spoke design where it's going to have a big, so a circular hub in the middle and it'll branch out into the lands. That's a
So Magic
more of a
Kingdom
Disney
Park.
thing. Yeah, that's a Disney thing. That Universal, I don't know if they've really done that in any of the parks, even the foreign ones. I don't think, because they're all like Universal Studios modeled pretty much. Either way, it's gonna be hub and spoke model, but the hub for this looks huge. It
So it is.
looks giant to the scale, like almost like Epcot. Like if you take Epcot from right behind Spaceship Earth all the way to the World Showcase Lagoon, like that huge middle area, which is now World Celebration, it almost looks like that level of like size, even bigger than that. But like that same kind of like it's a huge hub. It's not like one little circular. It's not like port of entry where you go to the circle and it's like okay, you can kind of navigate. So that's why I want to see. Going back to your point, seeing the scale of this park and seeing just how big it really is. Because we could see again from the concept art or from photos or drone footage, but that's hundreds of feet in the air. So like you're not
Exactly.
really gonna see like yeah, it all looks like this.
The only thing that's given me like some kind of glimmer of how big some things are is when there's Bio reconstructs images of the park, and we
Mm,
see construction workers working on, let's say, the water basin in the middle. The people are literally like this big, and the basin's like this big. So it's like
mm.
just imagine if that person's an average human, and they're about like 5'10" to 6'2". Just imagine how big that is based on that person's height and like their width. So it's like that could be massive, and it already looks massive just based off of that. So it's a lot to look forward to when it comes down to like the entire scope of this park. Because like you're saying, we don't really have like a size. Like we don't know how big things are. We can guess, but we just don't know for sure.
The closest thing, and it's actually pretty recent, like as of I believe yesterday, Universal released a video sort of highlighting the team members, which full on board for that. Love the team members. But it's the first real official footage we've gotten of Epic Universe construction from Universal, and it's probably the closest thing you can see of just like ground level, you know, construction workers and things like that actually on the site. We still can't really see much yet because it is still like under construction. Like it's not people walking around a completed park, but it is such a big thing. And also, like going back to your idea about the gate is so important to Universal. Like that entrance is so important to just Universal in general. Obviously, you have the arches in Florida, Universal Studios Florida. Sorry, Universal Hollywood has their own arches. Islands Adventure has the lighthouse, and it's this idea of like kind of doing almost like what we were saying. Like you have the original park, which has a very familiar, very known gate, going to this new park, which has an all new kind of style of gate, but it's still the same. Like it's still very similar. If again, if everything pans out. So I think that's a really cool kind of like a poetic moving on to the
Yeah,
next.
poetry in motion.
Yeah.
But speaking of motion, I believe it's time to move away from Epic Universe.
Mm.
Granted, we're excited for it. We cannot wait for some more information to come out on this park. But for now, thank you, and hopefully we see you in a preview center. But we're going
Mm.
to move forward to events that are happening, which we have one that's actually starting up next week. We have Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras. It's back. Everybody loves Mardi Gras. I feel like it's a really unique vibe. I mean, I don't know about everybody, but it's a very unique vibe for Universal. It's almost like another event we're going to talk about in that it completely transforms the park come night when the parade happens, the concerts. Obviously, the food's around all day. We have a tribute store coming, which Mardi Gras tribute stores. Let me just say, very underrated. I feel like people look forward to the Halloween Horror Nights ones. Summer tribute stores have been good. I mean, they're all great, but I mean, I feel like Christmas, Halloween Horror Nights, summer, but Mardi Gras I feel like are kind of slept on. I feel like they are kind of slept on. So I'm excited to see what they do with the tribute store. Concerts, of course, concerts are back. Full list includes artists like Louis Fonsi, DJ Khaled, Zed is coming. So like there's some big acts coming to Mardi Gras this year. And it's kind of continuing the idea of the flavors of Carnival, so flavors from all around the world. And yeah, I'm excited. I'll probably be there opening night.
I'm hoping to also be there opening night. Not 100% sure if I will or won't. But I'm excited for it as well. I mean, I'm a huge Mardi Gras guy. I love Mardi Gras. My birthday takes place during Mardi Gras. So it's fun to be able to ride the floats on my birthday if I wanted to, or go to a concert on my birthday if there is a concert on that day. And it's just, I love the vibe. You can go there and have fun. You can dance. You can eat. Like,
Mm.
to me, there's no other event time that like you can go out there and do that. Yeah, you can go out and dance during Horror Nights, but you're gonna look like a weirdo unless you're in Vamp. If I'm being honest.
That's true.
And then you can also dance during holiday, but I feel like that's just like peaceful music. This is more of like a party atmosphere. You can come and you can feel the rhythm. And it's just that one time of the year that's not Horror Nights, but I feel like Universal Orlando is home. You know what I mean? Like this event
Mm.
fits perfectly for Universal Orlando. And yes, they have this event at Busch Gardens at SeaWorld. To me, it's not the same, but they also do it well. They have a smaller parade and everything, but Universal's Mardi Gras is just like my bread and butter when it comes to like an event during non-Horror Nights time.
Yeah, and I feel like you kind of can get a lot of, again, there's a little bit of tie in with something like Horror Nights in terms of like the vibe being so different from the park normally. I mean, all the music is replaced with Mardi Gras music, and just in general, when you walk around the park during the day, you'll have performers walking around at certain times. Just like usually right before the parade, you'll have performers and like the brass band and stuff like that. And I just think it's a lot of fun that again, just lots of stuff to do. Mardi Gras, I feel like, is one of those things, and it's also a key piece of information. It's included with your ticket, which is a big
Huge
plus.
positive.
Just like the holidays, it's like it's awesome because it's something you can do. Like you can go experience the park during the day, walk around, do the rides, whatever. But then you stay for the parade and the concerts and all these things that you don't have to pay any extra to do, which is that's a win.
Huge win. And then when it comes down to Mardi Gras in general, like we've been saying, it's just fun.
Hmm.
Like there's nothing else I'd rather do when it comes to that time. But there is something a little bit grander that we both enjoy a lot, and you've heard it countless times. If you look behind me, if you look behind him, you see hints to it. We're talking about Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
We don't have dates, which
Nope.
I think is a bit odd because I feel like we usually have dates right before Mardi Gras starts, but maybe it'll be at the end of Mardi Gras. Who knows?
I have a feeling it'll be at the end because I looked last year and it was the end of March, and I believe the year before was also like near the end of March when we got dates. What do it's tickets and dates normally, right? I'm gonna imagine, yeah, because if you put your dates out,
Single
you buy
night
your
ticket,
tickets.
just single night
Singles.
ticket and dates, not multi night ticket. I'm gonna say this now at the beginning of the podcast, episode one. Just because the first tickets are coming out and there's no multi-night tickets does not mean we are not getting multi-night tickets. Just
Mm.
letting you know that. This is straight to the viewer. Just letting you know.
Yes. Yes. For those who are new, yeah. You gotta like, and we'll talk about that stuff when we get obviously more information guides on Halloween Horror Nights because you've been going for
This is going to be
what
year
10,
11.
11 years. Year 11. I've been going for 11 years. But we've gone enough. And obviously, if you know our channels, you'll know we talk about Horror Nights all the time. And I mean, obviously, the name of the podcast, Barrel House Boys, from the Darkest Deal, a house that we love. We'll probably do a whole episode on that at some point. Um, but it's it's a thing that, you know, y'all probably know about Horror Nights, so we're not going to talk. And there's not much to really talk about because we don't know anything about it. We just know that it's happening. Halloween Horror Nights is happening this year. It always happens
It always happens. Well,
because it. Well, we're not going to talk about that one. that,
uh,
that was
that was a rough year.
oh, okay. Yeah. So but yeah, no. It's something that always happens, barring at one time. And something always to get hyped for. So if you want to get hyped for Horror Nights up until now, again, we got podcasts, we have videos. You will not be deprived of Horror Nights stuff
When it comes to
with
hype
us.
shit.
Just letting you know. I'm gonna pivot back. We talked about Mardi Gras. We talked about New Orleans. And New Orleans is a very interesting place. I've never been there, but a lot of interesting sort of culture, a lot of interesting stories, and some interesting films have been made about New Orleans. And one of those films being Princess and the Frog. And if you're a fan of theme parks, you probably know where I'm going with this. So like that, that's a segue. That's a segue. Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So we're pivoting over to Disney. I was going to say that before, but I wanted the nice segue in there.
It was so nice. That was so clean too. Like, hmm.
That was like that was it. That was it. But pivoting to
Before we
Disney,
move, can
we
I
have a
just say
couple
one thing?
things.
Can I say one thing?
Oh,
I want a 3D house,
yeah,
but all right, it's one per
3D
episode.
house. There's a quota of at least one 3D house mention in every episode of this. Keyword at least one. And there'll probably be more. We're gonna do full tangent 3D houses at some point. But yes, 3D house. Okay. Tiana. Really the only thing that's coming this year from Disney confirmed to be coming this year. It was set to be late 2024, and
Now it just
now
says
it's
2020.
not. It just says 2024. Because if you go at least the version in Magic Kingdom, we've both been in the last week and a half.
Yeah.
Looks
Mhm.
good.
Oh, it looks so nice. But you got to be careful because those like little like lights might fly off and end up somewhere in downtown Orlando.
Uh yeah, we got to make sure the foliage is tied down because hurricane, will do that. But yeah, so this is the replacement for Splash Mountain. This is the newest newest really any attraction, but big attraction in Magic Kingdom and at Disneyland. We're talking more Magic Kingdom because again, Florida. But also Magic Kingdom is a lot farther along, at least from the outside. We have completely a grassy hill. We have little bottles up at the sort of lift hill drop, which I mean, it's got to be the Mama Odie. It's got to be Mama Odie, right? Has to be.
And the water tower has no scaffolding anymore. That's completely gone between the last time I went to the
Mhm.
park and this last time that I went in general, which is nice to see. And then if you like look through, sometimes some of them you see like some animatronics. Like I saw the frogs. Someone posted a picture of the frogs, which is really nice to see.
Mm-hmm. And then they have a lot of some of the also exterior. If you go through the railroad, they have like a really nice mural there. They have the weather vane up on there. They've explained a lot of this stuff that it's very close to created by Louisiana artists and sort of creators. So there's a lot of like cultural authenticity that's going into this attraction, which I appreciate a lot. I feel like Splash Mountain is one of those things, and we're gonna not talk about it too much, but like it's something that, regardless of how you feel about it, it's got a reputation. It's a very well known attraction, and you have to do it right. I feel like you can't just scrap it together because it's such a popular thing just in general, regardless of any of the other factors. It's just a popular ride. It's like Space Mountain or Thunder Mountain or the Haunted Mansion, any of those big attractions that if you were to say we're going to close this down and retheme it,
It has to be something big.
it's got to be big. And for someone like me, I remember seeing Princess of the Frog opening night in the movie theater. One of my favorite Disney movies, might be my favorite Disney movie, might be about like just non Pixar Disney animation. One of my favorites, my favorite of the princess movies. So, and I've always said, where's Tiana in the parks? Where's the characters in the park since I was younger, right? So getting to see this like a ride with animatronics that they say are on the scale of the Hong Kong Frozen animatronics, which look great, so fluid.
I wonder if before the attraction opens, they'll do kind of what they did with the Hong Kong like setup, and they show us the animatronic like backstage, showing us what it looks like, how it moves, how it articulates, which would be really cool to see because I only picture the animatronics the same way I would picture the Frozen ones, like the ones from there.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see what they actually look like. Like, don't get me wrong, I would love to see like Louis. I would not. He's not gonna have a full animatronic the same way as that, but I would love to see a Louis animatronic. I want to see how he moves. I want to see how he is because it's not like the average like regular human. It's a giant gator. I want to see what that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
look like. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean we've kind of been seeing a little bit, especially with Lewis, like having like that the head, like these sort of endoskeleton, exoskeleton. I don't know what the difference is. Sorry, I just exposed myself. I gotta give up the theme park card. No, but like the interior of the animatronic before they put any of the fabric on there, and it looks. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an engineer, so I can't tell you whether it looks it looks complex. It looks like there's a lot of stuff going on. But like the fact that we're getting beignet smell in the queue, that is already a win. That's already a W. Um, the idea that we're having these animatronics that are going to kind of follow you throughout the attraction, that are going to have these like kind of more personal interactions, like all the stuff that has been said about this is very promising. And the fact that it is the only thing that's opening this year, big thing, like as far as attractions goes, it makes sense. Like, yeah, of course that's going to be the biggest thing because you don't have anything else. This is it for now. So for one, you got to put the effort in because it's retheming a classic. For another, you got to do it because it's the only thing. And there's a lot of potential because it's a princess ride. So like, obviously, a lot of people are going to be looking at this. I'm hyped. I'm hyped to read it.
The only thing I can say that kind of hurts me about this attraction is there's no Dr. Facilier mentioned anywhere.
Hmm.
And
Don't talk to me
he's
about
one of
that.
my favorite Disney villains, favorite villains in general. And the fact that he might not be featured, maybe they're keeping it as a surprise until more gets said about the attraction.
Hope
But
so.
we haven't heard a single thing about Facilier, and I feel like he's probably one of the most prominent features of the film itself. And
Mhm.
not being able to see him on this attraction might hurt a little bit, but it's something that we'll probably get over if it's not happening. But we really want Facilier here.
My theory is if they're going to include, because I feel like Facilia, because where's the conflict of the story? So it's like Splash Mountain had like the way, because it's a very long ride. It's like 12, 13, 14, 15 minutes, however long. It's a long attraction compared to most Disney boat rides. Like Pirates of the Caribbean's like 8 minutes, Haunted Mansion's like 4 or 5 minutes. So think about those rides, not just because those are my favorite rides, but think about those rides. And think about like 13 minutes. That's a lot of time you're going to have these scenes. So where's the conflict coming from? Like, what's the story if there's no Dr. Facilier? And I don't think they'll make like a new villain. My theory is we will see Dr. Facilier in like maybe a ghost, maybe a spirit form, like one of the shadow people, kind of
So
like
like to
flying around.
get back to like to Hornice, like Jack and Otto.
Yeah, like a projection or like something. Well, yeah, yeah, pretty much. I didn't even process what you said until like I heard. Yeah, yes, I think like that, like shadow projection in specifically in the former Laughing Place scene where you go down into that sort of black lit. It's like very like stylized in the original. I feel like if you do like a shadow realm sort of themed area where there's like really colorful and there's maybe some of the theme from the movie because his theme is so, I mean, he's such an iconic character. Keith David, I mean, that's all you need to say. It's Keith David's wonderful voice. Please let me hear that
Yes.
on Disney. So
Uh,
but yeah, no, I think Tiana, it's lots of things to look forward to. Again, we don't know official opening date yet, but it's pretty far along. I mean, from what we know, I mean, obviously we've been talking about it for a good while. There's a lot of details on this one. So um but yeah, so I guess the next thing to pivot is to D23, which is in September. This is not in Florida. This is in California. Because
so when we
Destination
get
D was
the
what's that?
Orlando park, I said we get news when it comes down to the Orlando parks as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's being held in California. Yeah. And the last time we had D23 was very interesting because we got, as far as the Orlando parks are concerned, we had the proposed Beyond Big Thunder Mountain, where they had proposed a Encanto, Coco, and Villains themed area attractions in the area behind Big Thunder Mountain, which for those who don't know is it's not like Disneyland where there's like a circle where you can make, there's no Galaxy's Edge back there. For us, it's forest and it's a dead end. You have to turn around when you get to the end of Big Thunder Mountain. But the idea is that you could just keep walking all the way back behind the Haunted Mansion. And that'll be that was proposed in 2022. Also, a retheme to Dino Land was also proposed in 2022. I'm sure we'll have some pretty interesting opinions on that area, but that was also proposed to be Moana and Encanto.
Encanto.
Moana, I think it was Moana and
Yeah. And then I
so
think Beyond. Beyond Magic, Beyond Big Thunder was Coco, Villains.
Also Encanto. I know Encanto and Coco were together.
Yeah,
Maybe they wanted to double down on Encanto. Either way,
those
2023 they
things are mind
changed it to, yeah, pretty much. Like 2023 they changed it to, they didn't talk about Beyond Big Thunder Mountain. They talked about Dinoland. So I think Dinoland's happening. I think Dinoland's
blowing.
good to go.
Something needs to happen. I'm sorry, but like I'm tired of walking into Chester and Hester's and just sitting on a bench where there used to be a very big, not very big, but like a wild mouse place. So like
Mm,
I don't know. I would like there to be something there soon. There's something announced soon, so I have something to look forward to. I mean, those walls look nice. You can put a nice little like art, concept art on there. You know,
mhm. Well, it's the idea of building. So 2023, Encanto stayed. No, sorry. Before it was Moana and Zootopia. It
there
was
you
Moana and
go.
Zootopia originally. Now it's Encanto and Indiana Jones. So Indiana Jones taking over Dinosaur in the sort of institute area where Restaurantosaurus is, and then Chester and Hester's being Encanto and like sort of a South American plaza theme for like the main common area, which I love Dinosaur. I love the ride. It's one of my favorite rides in Animal Kingdom. And you know what? I don't even hate Chester and Hester's. The main area, whatever. But the store is fun. The theming is fun. The arcade games I can live without, but whatever. But like from the concept art, I would love a South American land to come to Animal Kingdom. I would love for it
I
to
feel
happen.
like it just makes sense too because we go
Mm-hmm.
Asia, we go
Mm-hmm.
Africa, and realistically, there's no South America outside of like Mexico and Epcot that really has
Mm-hmm.
any interpretation in any Disney park, to my knowledge. Yeah, no.
Mm-hmm. No, not specifically in any of the Disney parks. No, because Mystic Point is the closest, but that's not in South America. That's in Asia. So no, there's no South America anywhere.
But I feel like it would be nice to have that inclusion for a lot of people and basing it off of some different kind of like properties like Encanto or Coco could really like tie this entire land together and give like this nice love to South America that doesn't really have anything besides Mexico.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm someone who's always been a proponent of Encanto and Coco both going into Epcot. That's always been something because I feel like there's a lot more room to, because it's a whole debate about what goes in Animal Kingdom, what doesn't go in Animal Kingdom. And I think Encanto and Indiana Jones realistically are the best choices. I would personally love to see Up because they already kind of have Up in the park with the Wilderness Explorers, Kevin, Doug, Russell. Like they already have the characters in there. So an Up like suspended dark ride would be, could be fun, like a Peter Pan ET style ride.
The ride vehicle itself can be the home, like a home, like a small home, and then the
A
balloons are what
small.
hold you up.
It's a trailer. You fly in a
It's a
trailer
trailer.
with balloons.
Yeah, I mean,
You yeah,
yeah,
you're in a
Disney,
mini what, a tiny home.
take that pitch, Disney.
Yeah, exactly. Imagineering, call us. Um, but yeah, so going back to sort of D23, the idea that we can be seeing this stuff expanded on, maybe new stuff.
I really hope that we go beyond this blue sky concept for this D23, and I hope we actually hear something that's concrete. So I feel like that's been the biggest
Mm.
takeaway from almost every single D23. Like we'll probably hear something for sure about like Disney, Disneyland future or forward.
Forward.
I'm not, I'm not forward. Yeah, I'm pretty
Disneyland
sure we'll
forward.
hear something about something concrete about that. And they also said that they're spending how much in parks over the next 10 years?
They said
16,
I believe it was in 17 billion,
17 billion.
something. I don't know. That
So
is that's a random number. Don't believe anything I say.
yeah, it's a big figure. So
Yeah, big
something
number.
has to happen, like in general, like for Florida. I feel like Florida just keeps getting pushed to the side. We keep getting like rethemed attractions and
Hmm.
left and right. Yeah, we got Tron, but Tron took years to open, and I feel like it's
Hmm.
time for something to be announced for Florida, something to look forward to that isn't so much a reskin or a retheme.
I personally, and this is a minor bit of news we didn't really talk about, but going back to sort of Tiana, obviously the country bears at this point in just a couple days are going to close and they're going to be rethemed. And there's been a lot of talk about them retheming that back area, basically Frontierland disappearing and then completely changing Frontierland or moving Frontierland to the area behind Big Thunder Mountain. So letting Big Thunder Mountain kind of be the, because Magic Kingdom has always been weird with this because you have Frontierland and you have Splash Mountain, which is not the frontier, and then you have the Big Thunder Mountain, and you have this weird like thing right in the middle that doesn't, it fits, but it's not the exact same. And in Disneyland, it's in Critter Country, it's in a whole different area. So um maybe they're look because I feel like Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom really need. I mean, personally, I'd say Hollywood Studios, but Magic Kingdom right now really needs the big. I mean, the last big thing they got, other than Tron, I'm talking big, like more than one single attraction, was 10 years ago. Was New Fantasyland was 10 to 12 years ago. So a new land behind Big Thunder Mountain, retheming Frontierland to a version of New Orleans Square, something else. I'm just excited for that sort of possibility of it, and I hope Disney. The one thing you did mention Tron, and the last thing I'm going to say about this because I feel like this could be a whole episode. Disney, because of Epic Universe, so we talked about really quick construction. I feel like Disney's got to, um, they got to speed it up, and I think they know that with Tiana, like they got to speed it up. They got to not speed it up to the point where you're losing development time. Like you don't want to make your attractions half baked, but you also don't want to take 5 years to build a single ride. It's just not feasible in that sort of theme park economy when everything's moving like this. You got to keep with the pace that I'm not saying just Universal, because even SeaWorld,
They're pumping out a brand new roller coaster every
every
single
year,
year, and
every
it's
year.
crazy. I think they've opened a coaster every year since 2020. Like,
Uh,
because
Ice,
2021 they opened. Was it anything in 2021?
no, it's 22. I think was ice beginning of 22. I think was Icebreaker, right?
Oh yeah, 'cause it was supposed to open in 2020,
Yeah, and
and
then
then
it got
got
pushed
pushed
back.
back to 2022. Or was it 2021? I think Wazi's the one that opened in 2022. Here we go, doing our research. How long ago did
There
this
you go,
attraction
looking
open?
up. Either way, we're looking at every year to year and a half a new ride
It,
opening at SeaWorld.
it opened in 2022.
So also with like I'm thinking more pipeline. Pipeline has a whole new area. Like it literally a whole new section of the park has been built, not just the ride. In what, a year, 2 years? When did Pipeline? I don't remember when Pipeline started construction, but
Pipeline started construction right after they opened. Oh, what was the ride they opened for? Was it Icebreaker?
Icebreaker was
I'm trying.
first.
Okay, so it went Icebreaker in 22,
Mhm.
Pipeline in 23,
Pipeline
and
in
then now
23.
Penguin Trek in 24.
Penguin Trek, like I guess that we could just pivot to Penguin Trek. That's the next on the list.
I
Penguin
mean,
Trek,
yeah. I mean, it's
SeaWorld.
something that I'm really excited for. I know you're excited for it too. I I love SeaWorld's park for their attractions. I love their attractions. I love the Penguin Dark ride. I love that it was the first
Mm-hmm.
ever um what's that trackless dark ride that they've had in Florida, because this
Mm-hmm.
predates Mickey and Minnie, the predates Rise, and sad that it went away during a very dark time for the parks. But all in all, it was a great attraction, and I'm excited that it's getting something, and it's not just getting left there to rot. Because that was my big
Mm-hmm.
fear when it came to SeaWorld, that they were just going to let this sit. Because, for example, I don't know if you know this, but SeaWorld had an attraction called Turtle Trek. You know about
Yeah,
Turtle
I
Trek?
remember Turtle Trek.
It
I
was
did not like
basically
Turtle Trek.
like the 360 um, theaters that they have, like the Circle Vision,
Mm-hmm.
with the turtle. That's for if you guys, like the people that don't know. And that attraction has been sitting for years. It hasn't been touched. And I was getting that same fear that this was going to happen to this penguin area in Antarctica. And this was a huge area of the park. It is a huge area of the park. So I'm happy that something's going here, because regardless if it's a family coaster or a regular coaster, it's something, and it's not just being left alone. I'm happy about this because it's something new to do for every.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, and I love that. I mentioned I'm not really a big coaster person, but I'm also like I'm a big dark ride fan. I'm a huge dark ride fan. Okay, and I loved Penguin, Empire of the Penguin at SeaWorld. I remember I started really kind of going to SeaWorld more frequently. I went as a kid, but I didn't really go. There's a few years I just didn't go, and then we got passes for I think a year or 2 years. So we go to SeaWorld enough. Like it wasn't like crazy. That was around the time that opened. And I remember going on that ride a lot and really liking it. And I was very sad when they closed it. Same thing with Turtle Trek. I didn't like Turtle Trek. It made me sick. But the I agree with you in that, especially when it comes to like these roller coasters, like, you know, I know Penguin Trek is a coaster. It's a family coaster, but it's still technically a coaster. But I think SeaWorld in the idea of like trying to be different, obviously they had the theater, they had a dark ride, it was something not a roller coaster. And my worry was that, oh, they're gonna say, oh, it doesn't work, so we'll just let it sit like that. Oh, we're just gonna let it sit. Oh, it didn't really work. It didn't for well,
Wild Arctic.
exactly. Oh, Wild Arctic. Man, I love that was my favorite attraction at SeaWorld for sure when I was younger.
If you look
Absolutely.
at like SeaWorld San Diego, they just converted their Wild Arctic to a roller coaster.
Hmm.
I would much prefer them to. There's a lot of area behind Wild Arctic. I don't want a roller coaster.
Hmm.
We have a lot of roller coasters. I would love to see a Wild Arctic dark ride.
Mm. You said the words. You said the trigger word for me. Dark ride.
It makes so much sense because yes, the Wild Arctic was amazing. It was basically Star Tours, but you're in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Make it a dark ride, and I'm pretty sure people will love it. You can actually build this going through the exhibit as well, so you can go through and see well, not the creatures, the animals that'll be there on display. It'll be so nice, and it's one way to incorporate the area of the park that barely gets used anymore. They only use this section of the park for Howl's Scream Houses now, and it's only one house. And granted,
Hmm.
it's a pretty good house, but nonetheless, it kind of blows that you're walking through a like a dead attraction.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I like that. I like that because I like that attractions. I think it's like funny, but at the same time, like an Arctic theme because I my favorite thing about Wild Arctic because I never did the simulator. I I didn't really do like I literally when I was a kid, like a little kid, I only did slow moving dark rides. Like I'm telling you, I'm only I mean, I like motion simulators fine, and I love Star Tours. It's one of my favorite rides at Walt Disney World. But I think that a like part of the reason why I liked Wild Arctic is because you didn't have to do the simulator. You could just go into the theater, watch the movie, and then you could just walk around the exhibit. And the exhibit was so well themed, like it was insane because you were like in this
but
Arctic base camp.
the exhibit's still open. Like you can still
Yeah,
walk into that exhibit during the daytime. It's like I don't know.
no, like let's add to it. I agree with you. I think that I think Wild Arctic should be, and I think to make it work because you're already kind of having an Arctic themed coaster with Penguin Track, which we didn't really talk about Penguin Track much. It's supposed to be like it's like a family coaster. I feel like almost kind of modeled like a Hagrid's type of coaster. Obviously not as insane
Not as
with
grand as
yeah, but it's the same kind of appeal. Like it's like kind of a you're straddling this it's not a jet ski, a snowmobile, snow ski.
snow
What is
movie.
it?
Snow, a snow
Uh,
movie. A snow movie.
one of those things.
No,
One of those a snowder cycle.
snowed or
Um,
something. There you go.
and and then you go, yeah, it's like kind of going through, and there's like from what I understand, there are sets, there are scenes, like sort of indoor sections. And but my point is saying is like if you do that for Penguin Track, I don't think you need to do that for Wild Arctic because you already kind of have that fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what you don't have at SeaWorld Bush, is a dark ride. It's like a really highly, but and I'm saying Sesame Street, no dark ride. Okay, I get that's kind of expensive. Arctic, guys, come on,
Right there.
make it.
And granted,
You know,
you could probably do a Sesame Street one because Sally Dark Rides has one already made,
mm,
and you just have to pay for it. Granted, I don't think that should be a problem, but who knows what's going to
yeah,
happen with Sesame Street in general? But it would be nice to see. But if you don't want to risk taking it on a license, Wild Arctic's right there.
Wild Arctic Dark Ride. Let me see some, let me see some. Like, I'm honestly, I mean, I'm not saying you have to go crazy with animatronics and all this stuff. Like, I mean, some animatronics would be cute, but like, you could do like, you can get away, yeah, get away with some screens, just some like pretty highly detailed sets. Again, kind of use some of that Wild Arctic base camp theming that you already have, which is, like I said, really good. Not even in just the exhibit, but like in the wall, like sort of what it's like, and there are like stairs there. Like there's like stairs when you leave, right? Like that, like I don't know. I feel like the theming at Wild Arctic is really fun for it just being an exhibit. I mean, I think about Empire of the Penguin, I think about the Shark Encounter. And the theming's not that crazy with those two. Empire of the Penguin a little more because it was like connected to the ride, but like Shark Encounter, which is just an exhibit, not really that highly themed. But the other one, Wild Arctic, really highly themed. Anyway, we're getting off track. This is a tangent portion.
We're off the penguin track.
We're off the penguin track on our motorcycles. Howl Scream.
So we have dates for both SeaWorld Orlando and Busch Gardens Tampa's Howl Scream. So SeaWorld Orlando is going September 6th through November 2nd of 2024. If I need to say that, I don't know. I'm not going to say it for the next one. So for Busch Gardens Tampa, we have September 8th through October 31st, meaning that these events are not starting on the same date. And now this is a trend when it comes to SeaWorld and Busch Gardens. They usually don't start on the same day because Busch Gardens Tampa likes to do media events the day before the event starts
Mm,
or 2 days before, depending on what they do. But this year, SeaWorld is starting the 6th,
mm,
and 2 days later, Busch Gardens is starting. So I wonder if they're going to run the media events that's 6th for Orlando and then the 7th for Tampa, and then start the event on Friday for Tampa. I wonder if that's what they're doing.
that would be smart to get to allow for both, like for someone, let's say for someone wants to be invited to both, um, to be able to cover. Because I feel like if you when you have things scheduled on the same day and you're like, oh man, I got to pick between you and you, even though it's technically the same, but not, but it's the same. It's Halloween. Um,
And it hurts because like you want to visit both events, and it's like you can't because they're right at the same time. Granted, you can just buy a ticket and go, but
mm,
I feel like for a lot of people it won't be the same experience because for me at least, I like to record in the haunted houses. Granted,
mm,
it's either my own face or if it's facing forward. I like to record them and then I like to go back later on and go through the houses again to see one how they evolve and two how much those actors have truly gotten into their roles. Because
mm,
I've gone to Halloween now every year since opening year, and I went multiple nights. The first night I went, I was like, it was okay. By the third night that I went, I said, wow, they were blowing this out of the water. They were doing fantastic. And it takes them multiple visits and sometimes putting your camera away or sometimes just enjoying all the atmosphere to truly get the full perspective of how good the events are.
mm. Yeah, and I feel like that is something that because so last year you invited me to come with you for media for Howl-O-Scream Orlando, and I know that was my first time ever filming inside of a haunted house. So I was like, what is? I was terrified. I was like, oh, I'm gonna drop my camera. I'm gonna be not gonna know where to look. It was fine. Honestly, I don't know why, and I don't know if you feel like this. Maybe this is specifically for like creators. So this might be a niche question. You or anybody in general, do you feel more comfortable inside of a haunted house with a camera?
No,
No.
no. So what? Okay, if I'm at Sir Henry's,
Mm,
I'm more comfortable with the camera. If I'm not at Sir Henry's, I don't. So haunts like Sir Henry's, if you guys don't know. Also, Sir Henry's is having a Valentine's Day haunt. It's not on the list, but
Sir
starts in
Henry's.
2 weeks. Sir Henry's Valentine's Day haunt. Check it out. Love's Revenge. But anyways, that was actually the first ever Sir Henry's haunt that I ever went to in 2021.
Mm,
I feel more comfortable there for the fact that I can see stuff. So
mm,
I'll use my water bottle for example. I'll walk this way and I can see out of the sides, but it's very dark,
mm,
so it's hard to see in general. But it's nice. When I go to like horror nights or Halloween, I like to look around more. So I like set design.
Yeah.
I don't go to haunts like Sir Henry's or Petrified Forest for set design. I go there for scares. But Howl and Horror Nights, I look around for the set design. I look for the little details. More importantly, with Horror Nights, but the little details are things that I love to see, and I feel more comfortable looking around, looking for things. But like I said, the other haunts, where it's more like independent and they're more for scares, I'd like to go without. Well, with the
Mm,
camera. The bigger haunts without, which is why I like making those multiple.
see, I mean, like more for me when I was like, because I was terrified to go through with the camera, and because I was just worried again, I was gonna drop it, or something's gonna happen, or I was gonna do something was gonna it wasn't gonna look good. Fun story for those who haven't seen my Hello Scream video. I was, I'm still learning my camera, and I went to this Hello Scream video. I was like, all right, we're gonna get some good footage. And for those who don't know, my camera, well, yeah, you wouldn't know my camera. But for those who know, cameras have, you can put an ND filter on it on the lens, or in the case of mine, there's an automatic one. You can turn it off. It basically reduces sort of the sunlight effect. It makes it a little clearer to see. It won't make it as bright. So I turned it off during the day filming at Hello Scream. I didn't realize that it was still off at nighttime, which means you couldn't see anything. And it was a lot of fun filming. But like, even though I didn't know that, I was still like trying to like just see everything. And I feel like I got a pretty good grasp of, I mean, we did a few houses at Hello Scream without the camera, but with it, I don't know. Like, I feel like Horror Nights is also the same thing. Like, I can just go around and film stuff. And maybe because there's the camera, there's both the added risk of being scared, but also not being scared because you have the camera. It's both effects of like, it's like kind of the reverse psychology thing of like, oh, if I have the camera, I won't get scared. No, sometimes they'll come right up to you. Or it's the other case of like, oh, well, we're not going to scare you because we know you're trying to film. But either way, I don't know. I just like kind of I like filming. I like filming everything. I like just filming B-roll, even if I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Like I just have like tons of files of B-roll that are just sitting,
B-roll
waiting.
fun. I feel like that's the one thing that like all of us have, just B-roll of every single thing. Like
Everything.
it could be a trash can in the middle of a queue. We have B-roll of it. A villain
I
con
may or
trash
may
can.
not have that. I may or may not have some trash can B-roll
That's what I'm saying.
signs, everything. So that's all we have on the list as far as like parks go. We've already been talking for long enough, but that is, but that's all we have for as far as parks go. And I figured we could do this last section about what's going on with us.
What do we
Plans.
do?
I mean, we already kind of talked about like obviously Horror Nights, Howl Scream. We're going to be at those places. Parks, new rides. Obviously, we're going to be there. Events, but like anything outstanding that we want to talk about, or like with the podcast, like kind of explaining more about what we should have done this at the top, but whatever. Um,
This is what we
but
should have done for the introduction, but we didn't. Because we're us.
yeah, exactly. And you'll learn. We'll inform you over time what it's like.
You'll
But
learn about it.
yeah, what's going on with Losh TV this year?
Whew. I have 3 videos planned right now that I don't know when they're gonna be made. I don't know. Well, they're being processed. The scripts are being made. I don't know when they're gonna come out. However, I'm very excited. Aidan knows a lot about these videos because I've talked to him about it since I've been conjuring things in my brain. One of them
Mm,
is something that's probably never been done for a certain thing. The other one is something that's similar to things that have been done, and the other one is something that's been done by multiple people, but in separate videos. It's sort of one. So yeah, that's pretty much that. I'll be going to theme parks.
hmm
We discussed this before the podcast. We said we're going to, at the end of the year, say how many parks we've been to, kind of like a stat thing, just for fun. So as of right now, I've had 2 theme park visits. That is Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom.
mm.
By the end of the year, I plan to have more than 2 visits. So
I hope so.
that's pretty
I
much
hope we have
that.
more than 2 minutes.
Hopefully more than 2. But How about you? What do you have planned for the year?
So, first of all, I'm gonna say for those who are interested in these videos, they're exciting. They're worth checking out. So make sure to keep it because I mean, obviously, I know a couple things.
Yeah, a
But
thing or two.
saying they're worth checking out. I spend a lot of work and time into them. So first of all, gonna give you props on that. For me, mostly I'm doing the same and more theme park stuff, theme park history stuff, Halloween Horror Nights history stuff, lore. I want to do a lot more lore videos this year, like different lore breakdowns and things like that. So lore, yeah.
Let me just ask you one thing, just
Mm,
as a funny thing right here, off the top of my head. You're doing lore,
lore.
doing Halloween Horror Nights. If Five Nights at Freddy's gets announced, are you doing FNAF lore?
I will have to do a FNAF lore just for Matt Pat. Shout out to Matt Pat.
Shout out Matt Pat for real,
Shout
because
out to Matt
if it weren't
Pat.
for him, it wouldn't be just a theory. Wouldn't
There
exist.
might be some Horror Nights, Five Nights at Freddy. I'll make a video. I'll find a connective tissue to make it
Hmm.
all. I'll make it happen. I've done weirder videos before. But and I'm going to do weirder videos this year. So that's pretty much what's happening. Theme parks. I'm sitting at I'm sitting at 6 theme park visits, mostly because a few of those were park hopping days. So like one Universal visit, 2 Hollywood Studios visits, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, Magic Kingdom. So yeah, just hoping to do more Universal visits, Disney
You can't
visits.
forget, you have a brand new park that you're adding to your repertoire this year too.
Yeah, that's right. So in about a month, a little under a month, it won't be a month yet. A little under a month as we're recording this, I'm actually venturing out to Universal Hollywood, and I'm very excited to see what happens there. I've been getting some tips from people who've been locals and just people who have been in general, what to see. Super Nintendo, obviously, it's a big one. Jurassic World, Water World, Studio Tour, Secret Life of Pets. Those are like the big five. Those are the big five because Secret Life of Pets, I'm a dark red guy. Come on,
Yeah,
Jurassic World. I have to see why everybody says they should replace River Adventure. Studio Tour, it's iconic. Water World, it's iconic, and then Super Nintendo World to see what Epic Universe is going to bring to the table. See if I and I'm not a Nintendo fan. Like not that I dislike Nintendo. I'm just not a Nintendo fan. So I wonder how that'll be. And we're also going to go see the Academy Museum and the Warner Brothers tour. It's not theme park stuff, but it's tangentially related. So excited to do all that stuff. That's going to be in February, and there'll be videos on the channel about that. But yeah, just some new things, new parks. Hopefully, want to visit all these parks. So, I would like to go back to SeaWorld soon because once Penguin Trek opens, I want to head back to SeaWorld, which I've not really been to.
I
But
think it'll be a fun attraction to do. I'm excited for that.
yeah,
I'm also excited to hopefully like I've been trying to do this thing where I go to a different park every year.
hmm,
Last year I went to Aquatica for the first time. I've never been to Aquatica. It was fun. It was different. I'm hoping this year's the year I go to Legoland.
Legoland.
Never been to Legoland, Florida, so I would love to
Legoland's
check it
fun.
out. Okay. I would love to go to an out of state park, but that's completely out of left field. If I do, it'll probably be like Six Flags over Georgia or Fun
Hmm.
Spot. Those will probably be the parks that I go.
They got Air Force One. Is that
Air
fun
Force
spot?
One, which I have a T-shirt for that I've never worn because they gave it to me at IAPA like 3 years ago, and I haven't been to the
Well,
park.
you say whenever you eventually do go out there, you could say
I'll wear that shirt.
I have the merch before I even walked in the door.
It's
Um,
like it's like it's me.
yeah, no, Legoland's a lot of fun. Legoland, I haven't been to Legoland in a long time, but when I have been, the miniatures, it's just cool to see. If you're at any any fan of Lego, just seeing the whole big city sets and all that. That's fun. Aquatica's fun too. I haven't been to Aquatica. I need to. There's one park that I don't I'll tell you, and you'll probably be surprised. I've never been to Volcano Bay, not once.
So I didn't go to Volcano Bay until the 20 the end of 2020 when it reopened.
Mm,
I went the day before it closed for the winter, and it
mm.
was the most dead I've ever been at any park. Like
That's
we
crazy.
did everything that day. I'm pretty sure I have a video out on it too. It was like my first visit to Volcano Bay. So if you guys want to see that, I'll play some. But yeah. And then now as for away from all that, the podcast itself, we're gonna just have a lot of fun with you guys.
Hmm.
If you guys have any ideas what you want to see, comment it down below because we have some concepts, some ideas, some random things that we want to do that we want to talk about. We actually talked about one of the topics way early in the video. If you can remember it, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much that. We're gonna have a fun year. We're gonna talk about events when events roll around. When things get announced, we'll talk about it. Expect us to post bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly, I think, is good. Maybe not every video or podcast is the same video. Maybe not everyone will be this long. Maybe we'll shorten
I
them.
think
Maybe we'll see.
this will 100% be our longest podcast episode.
Yeah, because we got
Well,
a lot of things to prove.
yeah, exactly. So like this is the first one. The first one is always going to be us rambling on.
Mm,
And I want to say thank you guys for joining us on this first day of journey. And if you've made it this far, we love you. That comes from the heart.
2 thumbs
And
up.
if you guys enjoyed this, do us a favor. Subscribe to Dreamport.
That's me.
Subscribe to
Yep.
me.
Yep. That's you.
Subscribe to this channel
That's
because
right.
this is where we're going to be posting the podcast, obviously. And don't forget, this was a podcast made for you. And we'll see you guys soon.
Very
Very
soon.
soon.